All right, what's up? Just want to give you my perspective on this Dwayne Haskins situation. I have a lot of people asking me. Been meaning to come on and knock a video out, but for me, it's I guess I'll say it like this. Up in the NFL, there's players that can play. There's players that need development. There's players that can come right in and play. There's some players that need to develop to be able to play later. There's some people that have the skills. They're not in the right situation. There's just a lot of variables, right? But what doesn't get spoken enough about or enough of is the scouts and the teams and the coaches and the owners and the individuals that are bringing these young men in. So what I always say is there's this status thing that comes to the league, right? And we always have what round pick somebody is. Just like right now, every time college football comes on, you always hear the Heisman hopefuls are always all these damn quarterbacks, right? Doesn't matter. It's always such and such threw for all this and threw for that, and it's always the quarterbacks. So in talking about Haskins, let's go back to Ohio State. When we look at Ohio State, between Ohio State and Alabama, you could see all their players are all over the league, especially on the defensive side of the ball. If we just look at the defensive side of the ball and you say Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, and Chase Young, Sam Hubbard, right? They have Malik Hooker in the secondary. They have Ward at corner. Well, all the while they're hyping up all these damn quarterbacks, they're never wanting to say anything about the guys on defense. The guys on defense that are giving these guys the ball back to be able to have more yards and to throw for more yards and to set these records. And I feel that that's what happens in particular in this situation. There's situations like the Johnny Manziel situation. Johnny Manziel was drafted in the first round. I don't know why, right? And we saw where that went. But we see what Mike Evans is doing. You had Tim Tebow, who, great in college and all this other stuff, and they could say all the leadership. But my point is that Manziel was drafted in the first round. Tebow was drafted in the first round, right? These guys were also cut, right? So I'm tired of it always being it's this blame on the player. Hey, players have their blame, whether it's on or off the field. He had one particular issue that popped up off the field, and because he gets kind of cut right after that, they want to make that be the issue. It's like, if that is the issue, why talk about this 23-year-old, 24-year-old young man? Rather than talking about the sorry-ass scouts or whoever, the wrong opinion of the owner, whoever wanted to bring that individual in and pay them at the pay grade and the rate at which they brought him in at, instead of talking about a damn 23-year-old, right? It's about these sorry-ass scouts that are grading off of all this other stuff, right? And it's like we see the same thing every year, but everybody wants to talk about the player. And you guys will hear me talk about that a lot. The blame on the player goes whatever the blame is, but why is it only the players that are always getting the blame, right? And we're talking about an organization that for a minute hasn't done anything, right? I mean, like, they brought in RG3, they brought in Cousins, and they're not there. So let's just not just look at this situation and just really address it and make it be Haskins and make it be on this individual. So for those of you asking, this is my take on the whole Haskins thing. And I really don't care about guys getting cut. There's a lot of guys that get cut. There's guys that can play. There's guys that aren't in the league that can play, that didn't get a chance because they were at whatever other school and whatever scout, and the teams didn't want to go there. So my thing is that the NFL as a whole is never really trying to go out and get the best talent. They're just going to these institutions and saying, oh, well, here's who you guys are saying is the best. And you have very few teams. we'll hear of the New England because we see Belichick, and you'll hear the Niners have found talent. There's a few teams out there and a few organizations that they have the skill set. Seattle is another one that seems to find talent that fits their system, right? And not just going and getting guys because, hey, you know, in college he did this and he went out and did that. There's a lot of guys that did a whole lot of stuff in college. What does that mean at the next level? You know, so that's my take on the Haskins thing is, you know, when you go back, I mean, you have Michael Thomas, you have Ezekiel Elliott, you know, at Ohio State, the running backs are bombed, the front, the defense, the linebackers. I think it was like a Raekwon McMillan or something like that, a linebacker. But if you probably go back and count, there probably is at least 15, 18, 20 players off those teams that he was on that also went to the NFL. And what I'm saying by that is, let's say when I came out my senior year at college, I think I was the only guy on defense. We went 11-2, and I think I was the only guy on defense that went to the NFL that year. I wasn't the only guy that went to the NFL as a whole because there was guys. Joey Porter came after the next year. We had Eric Olson. We had Jason Kraft. But he wasn't necessarily playing when I was there. So there's other guys on the team. But, you know, but I went undrafted for whatever reason, right? And then I come right into the league. And so when I say on the flip, here's what I'm talking about this status thing is we'll talk about these first round picks that get cut and teams cutting them, but they paid them all this money, right? But then on the flip, when you get guys like myself that come in undrafted, right, you never get that status of anything when you end up starting. They just always want to talk about you coming in as this free agent. So what I'm saying is how you came in really only is a story when you don't make it when you come in with high status. So again, it's just like, hey, they cut him. Okay. They paid his ass a whole lot of money to cut him in the second year. So to me, it's not like he's losing. You know, it's the free agents that come in that could play that aren't on the team that are getting cut. Or it's the free agent that's on a team like some Hall, I think, like the other night for the Patriots that we saw. And there's all this hype about him, but I'm like, well, why hasn't he been out there on the field? But he comes downhill banging people. But yet there's this hype about him. See, because he has that lower status of being a free agent. And if he was to get cut, it's just, like he got cut and he has a lower status. So that's my take is this media pumps it to you guys as if all this stuff is a big deal. We're going to address something else with this, all this C and this captain shit that they're putting on these jerseys, you know, and then, you know, talking about that I knew it was over when you have the guy from the beginning. It was over well before anything about him going to the strip club or anything like that, right? If you're able to take this captainship bullshit away from him as if that meant some shit. But then you have to send the young man right out there on the damn field and play for the team during the season. So, I mean, it's just, they're doing way too much with all this captain stuff. Can you play or can you not play? If you're the leader out there, you're the leader. Whether I have a C on the jersey or not, the leaders are the leaders, right? So taking that C off his chest, what did that change on him going out there playing? Right? Didn't change nothing. Just like putting it on. Like, they thought putting it on him. Like, how did he get the C in the first place? You know, I mean, so your captain earlier, he's a captain, but you bench him for a guy that hasn't played in 2 years. But the other guy sitting on the bench has a C on his chest. Yeah. So it was already a shit show from the beginning in terms of that side, that side of the ball, just like that division is right now. But that's my take. That's all I got. But stop all with this status stuff. And it's like the guys that can play, they can play. It's the NFL. Guys get cut. Guys come in. Guys go. That's what it is, right? It's just we have all these talk shows and people want to talk about it and all this other stuff. It's not really a big deal. They still don't have a quarterback, right? So you can cut him, spend the money, and that should be more the story than it is about a 23-year-old man or 23-year-old young man, right? All right, peace and love. Yee.